We start with Thursday night football. Chiefs at Chargers. Chiefs favored by 4. Geoff, too high or too low?
I still think it's a little bit too low. I mean, I think that, this one obviously opened at 3, and 3 is basically saying these teams are nearly equal, and we're just giving a little bit of an advantage to the Chiefs. But I feel like with the way the Chiefs have played and just what we've seen from the Chargers, just being so up and down, I think you have to give the edge here to Kansas City. I mean, Patrick Mahomes obviously also still hurting from a loss to the Chargers early in the season. And Kansas City isn't really that good against the spread team. So I kind of understand why some people might have a little bit of trepidation logging into this game. They're 9-6-1 ATS in the division since 2019. The Chiefs usually like to beat up on their division rivals. And right now, I think that not only are they playing well, but they have a ton of motivation to put the Chargers back in their place because they're pretty close in the standings and, they're getting talked up a bit. So I think that even at 4, this one is still just a touch too low. I think the Chiefs should be approaching a little bit bigger favorites.
Pearce, is this a little low for you too?
Yeah, it's low. If you got in at 3, then awesome. If you get in on at 4, I will get in on this now. It's going to keep going up because Kansas City's going in the right direction. And Geoff mentioned that Kansas City hasn't been good against the spread this season, but it does seem like after last week that they're getting ready to turn it on. I know it was Las Vegas, but you had a general feeling that this offense wasn't very far off. The line is healthy. It's playing well. They've got a top 10 run blocking unit, top 10 pass blocking unit. The defense, as we mentioned yesterday on the show, has been absolutely elite. Go through those previous games. Other teams are just not scoring on them, and they face some pretty good opponents. I imagine they'll do the same thing with the Chargers. But speaking of spreads, the Chargers, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they haven't been very consistent either in terms of spread. They've been a complete letdown on many occasions. And yeah, they beat the Bengals because the Bengals made some mistakes and were too conservative. We've seen the Bengals do that a lot lately. And then last week, congratulations, you beat the Giants. The Giants average 1.5 touchdowns per game this season and last season. So I'm not really sold on the Chargers. I think this thing's going to get closer to 5 or 6 points.
All right, Pearce, how about the Saturday game, Raiders at Browns? Browns favored by 6 here. Too high or too low?
This one's too low as well. Now, if Darren Waller plays, maybe it's a little closer, but Las Vegas has just dealt with too much adversity this year. Too many things have gone wrong for them on the offensive side. I don't see the Hunter Renfrow show carrying them to a win or carrying them to a cover. I mean, Renfrow played amazing last week, and they still lost by, 40-some points. They got destroyed. And the Browns are getting healthier every week. That Browns defense is full speed. I mean, really what we need to do is just look back at the way we were talking about the Browns earlier this season when they were pretty close to healthy. Their defense was elite. They had running backs. Baker Mayfield was playing decent football. Well, they're going to get back to that. Give Nick Chubb 30 carries, run the play action like they normally do, run the double tight end sets, let that really good defense play good football. They should cover this. All
right, Geoff, what do you think?
Yeah, this line is funny. I mean, the Browns at home the last 2 years with Stefanski, 5-10 ATS. Like they don't blow teams out. They just make games close and they win a lot of close games. But I am in the same vein as Pearce. I think this one is actually too low. And I think a lot of people might talk themselves into not trusting the Browns here. I just think that's a mistake because what are the Raiders going to do? They had that Super Bowl-ish win against the Cowboys, and it's just been terrible. Otherwise, their defense isn't good. Their pressure rate's gone down throughout the year. They haven't been able to stop the run all year, which is what Cleveland does to move the ball. I mean, if Nick Chubb gets going early in this game, this defensive unit could just dominate from start to finish. I agree. The Darren Waller news is probably something you want to keep an eye on. That would make me, again, a little bit more wary of taking the Browns here. But even with Waller, I just don't know, man. I think that this one's a little bit too short as well. I think the Browns should be closer to a touchdown.
All right, also on Saturday, Patriots at Colts. Colts favored by 2.5 here. Pats trying to keep their 7-game winning run intact. Geoff, too high or too low?
I think this one's just correct. I really do. I don't think you can put the Colts at -3. I just think that the Patriots are too good a team to do that. At the same time, I mean, you the Colts are a really solid team. I mean, they obviously have a fantastic offensive weapon in Jonathan Taylor. They've got a good O-line. They've got a great D-line. They can get beat through the air a bit, but they're also taking on a rookie quarterback who obviously is very good, but still a rookie, right? So I don't know how much more I don't think the Patriots should be like any smaller favorites or any smaller underdogs, or bigger underdogs. But at the same time, like this, like you have the one thing I would keep an eye on with this game, especially, is the injury report, because Adrian Phillips a little bit banged up. The Patriots also, Damian Harris a little bit banged up. They came out of that game against Buffalo a little bit banged up. And I know they had the bye week and Bill Belichick off the bye, 18-11 ATS, since like the beginning of time or whenever he took over, basically. But it's a tough game. I think this game should be very close in the spread, and I don't think it should be getting up to 3. So I'm going to say this one is pretty much 100% correct where it is.
Pierce, the Patriots are 3-1 against the spread when underdogs by 2.5 points or more this season.
Forget the spread. Let's play the money line. This is too high. Take the Patriots in this game. I've suddenly become a New England Patriots truther, but it's Geoff's fault. Geoff went over, the individual losses by the Patriots this season. And it's a pretty compelling case that this team is close to an undefeated football team facing Indianapolis. Continuing with the Belichick theme, we know what Bill Belichick's going to do. He's going to try to shut down their one main weapon. That's going to be Jonathan Taylor. Easier said than done. But if they can limit Taylor and make Carson Wentz beat them, I like the Patriots' chances when you've got to get beaten by Carson Wentz and some, slightly above average wide receivers. And you look at the other side, New England or Indianapolis plays this bend but don't break defense. They give up a lot of underneath routes. Well, that's what Mac Jones does. When you look at intended air yards per pass attempt, Mac Jones ranks 21st, just a 7.5 intended air yards per pass attempt. And when Mac Jones has gotten in trouble, the games that he has lost, that's when he's taking deeper shots downfield, when he has an intended air yards above 8. Those are games that he's lost. So you're kind of playing into his strength. They're going to let Mac Jones throw these short passes. They should be able to get the run game going. I like the Patriots money line.
All right, moving to Sunday, Panthers at Bills. Bills, big home favorites, 10.5 points. Pierce, too high or too low?
Too low, which is crazy to say that I think this thing should be in the double digits, but it should be. You look at double-digit favorites this season, it's pretty interesting. 17-11 against the spread for teams that are double-digit favorites, and that's unusual. You go back to last season, the double-digit favorite teams against the spread were 13-18-1. The year before that, 20-24-1. We don't usually see the big-time favorites covering at this type of clip. But it's 2021. We've seen weird things. And we're at a point in the season where things have settled. We know who is good. We know who is bad. We're not seeing a lot of these surprising games. Buffalo should be able to take care of business against a Carolina team that doesn't have a quarterback. They haven't had an offensive line in a couple of seasons. They don't have a running back. Their defense is playing well, but that offense, just like last week, puts their defense in terrible spots time and time again. You can't do that against Buffalo. Buffalo is going to win by double digits.
Geoff, is it too low for you?
Yeah, so I think yesterday I was bemusing the fact that maybe the Panthers just like they shouldn't be this big underdogs, but I've come to my senses here. Pearce is right. This is too low. The Buffalo Bills, I'm pretty sure, are going to win this game and win this game big. If you've watched the Panthers play over the last few weeks, their defense cannot get anyone off the field, and their offense, it just flat out it stinks. I mean, it is bottom in all of like the DVOA categories. They're rotating quarterbacks like every series. Oh yeah, that works out great. We've seen that work plenty of times in the NFL. So, I mean, DJ Moore also banged up. I don't even know how Carolina is going to score points here once they get down 14, which they're probably going to do because, like I said, their defense couldn't stop the Falcons last week. Atlanta is a bad team. So, yeah, I think this is actually the reason this line is so low. It's just an overreaction to people not trusting the Bills, which is great because you should be trusting the Bills against teams like this. They're still a very good team. I think this one's way too low.